Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really fascinating study that offers a spiritual perspective on one of our most destructive emotions, envy.
God and Us presents Proclamation to the Nation.
All right, let's just jump right in with this quote because it really sets the tone for everything. The source material does not mess around. It frames envy not as some passing mood, but as something that can literally eat you alive from the inside out.
So what does that really mean, a cancer in the bones? Well, the source argues that envy is a deeply corrosive spiritual and physical problem.
You know, the study draws this direct line between our inner world and our physical health. It's talking about what we often call psychosomatic diseases. The whole idea is that the suffering of the soul, the psyche, can actually show up as real sickness in the body, the soma.
And what's so powerful here is when you look at how different translations of the very same verse all point to the same kind of grim reality, right? Whether it rots the bones, destroys health, or is like cancer, the message couldn't be clearer. This source sees envy having a very real, very physical, destructive effect on our bodies.
Okay, so if it's that destructive, we've got to ask, what exactly is it? Well, the source material takes us all the way back to the original Greek to really get to the heart of it.
And this, right here, is such a key insight. The original Greek word for envy, thonos, isn't just about, I want that car, or I wish I had that job. Its root, thitero, implies a force that actively corrupts, consumes, and destroys from within. It's like a fire that feeds on itself.
And this internal rot, it shows up as this constant agitation. The source describes a soul that just can't find peace. They can't be content. It's always looking over its shoulder, always coveting what someone else has. And because of that, it can never, ever be at rest.
So this internal struggle, it actually builds into something much, much bigger. The source doesn't just see this impulse as some personal flaw. No, it's part of a fundamental spiritual war happening inside of us.
And here's the crucial point. Look at this comparison from the Apostle Paul's letter to the Galatians. He lists envy as a work of the flesh and puts it in direct opposition to the fruit of the Spirit. We're talking peace, contentment, love. It's a straight-up battle between two totally different ways of being.
And if you want to know just how high the stakes are in this battle, well, the source points to this exact moment. It argues that envy wasn't just some minor detail in the story. No, it was the primary motive that led to the condemnation of Jesus himself. That's how destructive this thing can be.
Okay, so how on earth do you overcome something that powerful? Well, the study is clear. There's no quick fix. It's a process, a journey of growth toward what it calls spiritual maturity. The source uses this really powerful analogy from the book of Hebrews. It's like we all start out in spiritual infancy, just relying on the basics, the milk, right? But to mature, we need constant exercise. We have to actively practice these principles every day. And that's what gets us ready for spiritual maturity, where we can finally handle the solid food, the really deep, complex truths.
And what's the point of all this exercise, you ask? It's all about training your spiritual senses. Think about it. Just like an athlete trains their body, this kind of practice trains you to tell the difference between good and evil. It strengthens you from the inside so you can overcome those internal works of the flesh, especially something as toxic as envy.
Okay, so this all brings us to the practical solution, the how-to that the source proposes. To fight this deep, spiritual and physical problem, it points to a really ancient ritual, the Holy Communion.
And check this out. The ritual is broken down into two very specific functions. It's a direct answer to that psychosomatic problem we talked about at the beginning. You have the bread, which is for health, for the physical body, the soma. And then you have the juice, which is for purifying the soul, the psyche. See? It's designed to address both sides of the coin.
What's really interesting is that the source emphasizes the original instruction, do this whenever you drink it. That little word whenever suggests this isn't meant to be some rare, once-a-year ceremony. It's meant to be a regular, accessible way to get spiritual health and push back against that internal decay.
Now, this next point deals with a really common hang-up people have, that whole idea of taking communion unworthily. The source basically reframes the whole thing. It argues it's not about being perfect or sinless. Who is, right? The real danger, it says, is in not recognizing the power of the ritual itself. It's when you look at your own mistakes and think they're bigger or more powerful than the cure that's being offered.
So when you boil it all down, this explainer connects a problem we all know, that all-consuming feeling of envy, to a timeless spiritual solution. And it leaves us with a really powerful question to think about. In our super modern, fast-paced world, how can an ancient ritual like this still provide real answers to our deepest emotional struggles? What relevance can we find in these practices today?